Welcome back to the third and final part of this intriguing story of survival and suspense. If you haven't watched the first and second part, please check out the video titled, "He Saved 176 Lives." But what he heard in the black box changed everything. To get more updates on newly added contents like this, please hit the subscribe button. 200 miles off the coast of Ireland, a fishing trawler cuts through calm waters. It's just after midnight. Clouds drift low across the horizon. The crew works quietly under faint deck lights, and then the radio crackles. A whisper pushes through a wall of static. "Proceed." The captain frowns. The frequency isn't one they use. It belongs to aviation emergency bands monitored only by commercial aircraft. The fishing crew listens as a second voice bleeds through. A man's voice. "Come. Steady. Almost familiar. Mayday, mayday." North Atlantic Flight 327 declaring, then a sharp cut. Silence. No aircraft appear overhead. No lights in the sky. Nothing but ocean. The crew logs the anomaly and later hands the recording to the Irish Marine Authority. Within hours, the file reaches the European Aviation Safety Agency. And the name attached to the voice becomes headline news. Ryan Porter, the pilot who saved 176 lives. A man declared missing at sea just 6 weeks earlier. When Ryan vanished, official reports called it pilot mental fatigue, a psychological break brought on by the traumatic events aboard Flight 327. His rented boat was found adrift, the engine running. No sign of a struggle. No evidence of foul play. Just an empty deck and his headset still recording. But the absence of a body, the unresolved transmissions, the pattern of anomalies across the same Atlantic corridor, none of it made sense. Now, with this new recording, investigators reopen the case. This time they look deeper, harder, with fewer assumptions. Leading the inquiry is Dr. Ben Smith, an aviation psychologist known for separating fact from superstition. Joining him is Chief Investigator Marcus Hale, a veteran of crash reconstruction, and Dr. Edward Vance, a radio frequency specialist with a reputation for debunking conspiracy theories. 3 experts, 3 different perspectives. One unnerving question: what happened to Ryan Porter? On the morning the fishing trawler's file reaches SA headquarters, Marcus Hale listens to the recording 8 times. He closes his eyes on the 9th. Ryan Porter's voice is unmistakable, but the timestamp raises concern. The broadcast occurred at 013 Universal Time, coordinated the exact time Flight 327 sent its emergency mayday months earlier, down to the second. Hale calls Dr. Vance. The specialist runs a spectral analysis. The conclusion chills the room. The transmission didn't originate from an aircraft. It originated from the ocean surface. Not from beneath. Not from a satellite. From a flat point somewhere on the waves near the fishing vessel for less than 3.5 seconds. Long enough to transmit a voice. Too short to trace source hardware. And something else. The voice pattern was not a recording. It exhibited mic variations consistent with someone speaking in real time. But there was one impossibility. The harmonics matched Ryan's exact vocal signature. For the next 2 weeks, internal debate rips through the investigative team. Dr. Ben believes Ryan suffered a psychological collapse. The man had been haunted by the Atlantic corridor, replaying the storm, the captain's death, the mysterious whisper. Nightmares. Withdrawal. Obsession. To him, the answer is plain. He didn't vanish into the ocean. He chose it. Her theory is heartbreaking, logical, grounded. But the data refuses to cooperate. Dr. Vance presents evidence that the proceed signal recorded across multiple flights matches a Cold War-era military frequency phase-modulated burst tone 462.9 MHz once used for encrypted maritime surveillance. According to declassified documents, it was discontinued in 1994. But its footprint still exists in stray bursts. Ghost frequencies, Vance calls them. Signals without senders. Echoes of long-defunct technology bouncing erratically across the ionosphere. Except these echoes aren't random. Every single burst has originated from the same 20 nautical mile radius. The same area where Flight 327 nearly fell, Flight 417 heard the whisper. Ryan's rented boat was found, and now the fishing trawler captured his voice. Marcus Hale draws a red circle on the map. A chilling realization settles over the team. Something is broadcasting from this corridor. And whatever it is, it has been active for decades. Hale begins digging through archived incident reports. The deeper he goes, the stranger the pattern becomes. Case 1 2003, a British RAF reconnaissance aircraft reported sudden navigational failure. Black box captured a faint whisper, maintain. Case 2 2007, A cargo carrier en route to Dublin reported a brief autopilot override and distorted radio signal. Black box transcript, altitude. Case 3 2011. A Canadian charter jet experienced unexplained cabin depressurization. Black box captured, proceed. Pilots from each incident dismissed the anomalies as stress hallucinations or radio interference. No fatalities occurred. No dramatic outcomes. But the wording, the rhythm, the eerie human cadence, all identical. And the geographic coordinates? The same Atlantic corridor. Every time. Dr. Vance proposes the first grounded hypothesis. Skywave propagation, an atmospheric phenomenon where old radio signals, even decades old, refract through charged ionosphere layers and reappear under certain conditions. A kind of radio afterimage. But when Marcus Hale overlays the oceanic weather patterns from each incident date, a chilling contradiction appears. The conditions for skywave propagation did not exist. Not even close. The anomalies occurred under cloud cover, low ionospheric reflection, and weak solar activity exactly when such echoes shouldn't happen. Vance crosses one theory off the board. SA releases a cleaned version of the fishing vessel's recording. Audio engineers strip out the static, isolating the human voice. The final transcript is unsettlingly clear. 0:13 and 14 seconds Universal Time Coordinated Unidentified Male Voice, Mayday? Mayday. North Atlantic Flight 327 declaring an emergency. 1.7 second pause. Proceed. Then silence. The investigative narrator leans in. This wasn't a ghost. This wasn't an echo. This was a reconstruction. Someone or something broadcast an exact recreation of Ryan's distress call. But why? And how? Declassified archives reveal that during the late 1980s, the US and UK jointly tested a system called Project EchoWave. The purpose? Use low-frequency audio bursts to remotely trigger emergency locator transmitters and force communications onto reserved military bands. It was never officially deployed. Documents cite frequency bleeding risks. The testing coordinates? The same corridor. But the documents stopped cold in 1989 with no indication of shutdown, dismantling, or repurposing. Marcus Hale brings a chilling possibility to the table. What if the system wasn't shut down, just forgotten? A machine left behind. Buried under the Atlantic. Still listening. Still broadcasting. The idea sounds nearly plausible. Nearly. Until Dr. Vance applies the vocal analysis. And everything unravels. Voice forensic tools compare Ryan's voice from Flight 327's cockpit to the fishing vessel's recording. The match is 100% identical. Not 95. Not 98.100. Even identical twins do not produce perfect matches. But the software finds something even more unsettling. The recording also matches. Captain Mercer. The whisper, proceed, aligns with Mercer's vocal range and breathing rhythm. This means the broadcast wasn't a recording of Ryan. It wasn't a recording of Mercer. It was a generated hybrid of a human voice modeled algorithmically from existing samples. But AI voice synthesis didn't exist in 2003, or 2007. Or 2011, and definitely not in 1989. So how did the system learn both men's voices? Ryan's last day is reconstructed by investigators. He boarded a rental boat alone. He sailed directly toward the anomaly. He reported no engine trouble. He made no distress call. But investigators find one more detail. A radio technician on the harbor reported hearing a strange tone on the emergency aviation band as Ryan passed beyond visual range. A tone identical to the one from his cockpit months earlier. The final ping from his boat occurred at 23:42. His GPS froze. His engine continued idling. Ryan was simply gone. The narrator speaks softly, the ocean does not swallow a man without leaving a trace. So investigators hypothesize, realistic explanation number 3 accidental overboard event Ryan may have slipped, or collapsed, or suffered a psychological break. But this explanation falls apart under scrutiny. No torn clothing fibers, no signs of a fall, no sign of struggle, no footprints out of the cabin, no wet deck, no indication he stood near the edge. He didn't fall. He left. But why? After months of review, investigators reach a reluctant consensus. A Cold War-era military transmitter or autonomous radio buoy likely remains active on the ocean floor. It randomly emits emergency signals, intercepts and mimics cockpit audio, rebroadcasts reconstructed speech, interferes with aircraft avionics and created the illusion of a human voice calling from nowhere. Ryan, devastated by trauma and desperate for answers, likely traced the anomalies until he fell victim to weather, exhaustion, or miscalculation. It is the most logical explanation, the most grounded, the most human. But 5 months after Ryan vanishes, a French satellite captures an unusual thermal signature in the exact anomaly zone. A brief, concentrated heat bloom lasting only 0.4 seconds detected 3,700 meters below the surface. The same depth where Ryan's aircraft debris fragment was found. The same depth where radar detected metallic structures. The same depth where the submersible's camera briefly captured something. Not a buoy. Not a transmitter. Not a wreck. Something cylindrical. Smooth. Metallic. Something moving. The satellite operator files the anomaly as geothermal activity. A convenient explanation. But the raw data tells another story. The heat signature rose in a pattern that exactly matches the waveform of Mercer's final heartbeat. The narrator pauses. A breath. A long silence. Maybe the Atlantic didn't take Ryan Porter. Maybe it answered him. For more stories of survival and courage here at Survival Diaries, kindly hit the subscribe button.